He's given up on the Giants. That's my takeaway from what he's saying, is that he's not even a Giants fan anymore. I think my takeaway from that is that right now he's a huge Bears fan, and I think that's his new number one team.
What's
and that
that?
is his official statement here on Dear Hollow Heroes.
What's that? We're always right. What's that?
Okay,
Do
well
you
listen,
think
I
this
was
is?
I was I was playing with the boundary. He would never say that.
What's that? I'm the most handsome member. What's that? Oh my gosh! Thank you for telling me that I am just the best guy ever.
I've become best friends with them.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I'm thirsty.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Dear Hollow Heroes. And as always, I'm here with Meek Man Liam Meekum. Oh my God, he's dead.
When he said, I don't know if we caught this at the end of the podcast last week, he said he wasn't getting up from his seat till the next episode, and I think he took it a little too seriously.
He didn't get up from his seat till the next episode.
He's still sitting there. He looks a little famished. I think he's just a bit hungry.
I think he looks better than usual, if I'm being brutally honest.
He cleaned off the beard, I actually, he's making some good points right now. This is the best way he talks.
I actually agree with you. I think he's the most pleasant now than ever before.
I've never heard him like this before. Just completely silent.
Yeah, the one thing I've heard him say all day is how handsome I am. Besides that, I've heard nothing. Let's get into the top story. Well, the free agency frenzy has begun for the NFL. And to put it lightly, it has been absolutely crazy. Well, for starters, you had Saquon Barkley, the Giant legend, now an Eagle. And there's been a lot of Twitter war between him and former running back Tiki Barber. You also have Aaron Jones signing with the Vikings, Patrick Queen signing with the Steelers. Rob, it seems like a lot of betrayal has been happening early on in this free agency frenzy. A lot of players going to their division rivals. How much of it do you blame on the players? How much do you blame of it on the teams for all these betrayals?
I'd blame the teams more than I'd blame the players, mostly because a lot of these players knew they weren't getting re-signed with the teams they were on, right? Saquon, Queen, probably, they knew they weren't going to get the offer they wanted with their own team just based off of cap space and how the team is at the moment. Now, I could speak for, Patrick Queen. He got, what was it? It was, I wrote it down somewhere, 3 years, $41 million for the Steelers. He wasn't getting that from the Ravens. It just wasn't happening. We just don't have the money. And if the next best team or the best offer you get is a division rival, you still take that. Because that's the point of free agency. Who's going to pay me the most?
In all fairness, it does feel like there's a lot of scrutiny against Saquon Barkley. I'm going to go towards the Giants and Eagles on this one. And it is very obvious that if you are a New York Giant, going to the Eagles is not the best idea if you want to save your reputation with the team, regardless of contracts and negotiations. But in his defense, what?
You said contract.
Oh, really? In his defense, the only offer that could have been given by the Giants would have been way more than they could have given. So they didn't even put an offer out for Saquon Barkley, thus leading to him leaving. So the Giants didn't go after him. So he didn't leave the Giants. The Giants left him. But what he did that was a little fishy is he did go to the Eagles. But they did offer him the most money. And again, in his defense, running backs don't last long. And he has an injury history. So getting the most money now is his best option, in my opinion. And once again, in his defense, he's going from the 31st run blocking team to the number 1 run blocking team last year. So as much as Giants fans are really upset, looking at it from Saquon Barkley's perspective, I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
No, you go out, you get the bag. What the real story is with Saquon, at least right now, is what Tiki Barber said to him via Twitter, which was, "You're dead to me."
And what makes it comedic is last time Tiki Barber talked smack, the Giants won the Super Bowl without him, and it doesn't work out well when he talks smack. So now if you're a Giants fan, everyone's like, we stand by Tiki. No! Tell him to stop talking, because last time this happened, it really bit him in the back for that one. So I'm like, if the Eagles do well this season, I don't think he can talk smack anymore.
Yeah, and there's been some other things that came from this. Other players have obviously seen what Tiki just said, and it's kind of been going around the league, especially with Lamar Jackson, with all the players that left. Geno Stone going to Cincinnati and Patrick Queen going to the Steelers. He just said the same exact thing, but he let everyone know beforehand, I'm just going to use this all week because it is so funny to be this petty.
You're dead to me, Patrick Queen. I feel like it's just the way he says it with his tweet made it just all the funnier.
Yeah. No, another one I saw was Isaiah Likely, the tight end for the Ravens, for Patrick Queen. He said, I love you, brother. Nothing but, the best for your health and for your playing. I hope you go 0-17. And, that's the friendly, the friendly bantering that you should have when a player just leaves your team in free agency, because there is no real malice behind it most of the time. If there is malice, way ahead of time. That's something like Aaron Rodgers going to the Jets because he hated the Packers. But that's not happening with Saquon really going to the Eagles. Sure, he wasn't happy necessarily in New York, at least with the front office. But it's not saying, I'm going to the Eagles just in spite of you. They just paid him the most.
Speaking of all these quotes of the week, I got to say, the one that's really, it's day 7 million of me loving Max Crosby as a player. Do you know what he said about Josh Jacobs departing for Green Bay? He said that it's all love. Green Bay just got one heck of a player. Mentioning how great of a teammate he was and hopes he has continued success. How can you not like him? I'm sorry. And like Lamar in this regard. How can you not like them for that? Being such great people about it. But my favorite is Max Crosby, but I also saw the Isaiah Likely. That was my second favorite. How there's still that competitive edge in the division. So there's been some really funny Twitter out there for this free agency.
Just to bring it back to the actual players themselves and the money they're making, some of the bigger splashes we've had. Kirk Cousins to the Falcons, 4 years, $180 million.
Unbelievable. How did the Vikings drop that?
I don't know, but I think his agent deserves all the praise.
Yeah, they got a 35-year-old quarterback making $45 million a year.
I saw one thing that, if he makes enough in incentives, he'll make more than Tom Brady did his entire career.
That's unbelievable. And what makes it even more incredible is he went from a situation where he had a horrible offensive line with some great talent around him and never won many playoff games for it, to getting in the same exact position that he started with in Minnesota, but now it's the Atlanta Falcons, and just being treated the exact same as if nothing happened. He's just being treated as he is this hero.
Well, it's not like he's a bad quarterback. He's a really
not.
Good quarterback.
It's just he has done nothing to earn $45 million a year.
I think, sure, you win one playoff game, that doesn't help your situation, but everyone knows that the Vikings have never really been built to win like they do in the playoffs. They had the number one
receiver in the league, a top-tier running back.
What about their defense?
Kirk Cousins, and a defense that was being extremely solid. I think they were the second seed one year.
Wasn't it 2 years ago that if their defense, or if every game that was 1 point difference swapped, they would have been out of the playoffs? Like, their defense has never been really put together to be good enough, especially in the playoffs.
Well, in the beginning stages of Kurt's contract, they had a good defense. They had they had some legends. Now they're old.
And that was before they had the good wide receivers. So nothing ever really lined up for...
Stephon Diggs. They had Stephon Diggs, and they had a young Justin Jefferson when he started his time there. No, they were built. They were built pretty well. and then they just couldn't figure it out. They could never figure it out in the postseason, and it's still funny. The farthest they got was with the miracle in Minneapolis with Case Keenum at quarterback. That was the farthest they still got. Then they went and got Kirk Cousins next year. So I don't think he earned that contract. I think he earned 30 to 40 million area. I think he earned in the 30s. I don't think he earned 45 million a year. But I think it's a good move by the Falcons. But a really, really sold the bag by Minnesota. I feel like Minnesota's now in a really weird spot. They have no quarterback. People are wondering if Justin Jefferson's getting hurt.
He's going to request a trade.
They're listening to options. So it's getting really interesting. But speaking of requesting a trade, I think the other team that's really interesting is the AFC North as a whole. We talked about the Ravens and Steelers, but the Cincinnati Bengals cutting Joe Mixon, bringing him to the Texans, and also T. Higgins requesting a trade. So
I think the reason T. Higgins is requesting the trade is because he knows he's not a number one there as long as they have Jamar Chase. Right. And he wants to be a number one somewhere else, or at least give it a shot. It's not like he doesn't have the potential to be one. And he knows if he gets that trade and shows that he can be a number one, he can get paid. Because wide receivers get paid.
Yeah, he needs to go to a team that has nobody. Like, I think, honestly, his options... And T. Higgins is being a little picky. He's demanding certain types of quarterbacks. And
ones that can throw the ball well?
Yeah, but again, if you want to be a superstar, I think you just go to a team with not as much good receivers, be number one, and get paid a lot. That's what I'd do. I'd go to New York, New England, even a Jacksonville. Jacksonville is on his list. So it's going to be very interesting. And I think that wide receiver battle here, I think one's going to end up in Jacksonville. One's going to end up in either New York Giants or New England. And that is Calvin Ridley and T. Higgins. So those two receivers are going to mix and match into two of those three teams. And he's going to sort out pretty well. With all these teams and all of this drama that's been happening, which team do you specifically think had the... Liam, stop interrupting.
No time to throw your hat.
Yeah, dude. Which team do you think has had the best free agency, and which team do you think has had the worst free agency?
Well, I think it goes without saying that the team that has the best free agency this offseason so far is the Baltimore Ravens, signing Derrick Henry to a 2-year, $16 million contract. Imagine the run option with the backfield of Patrick Ricard, Derrick Henry, and Lamar Jackson.
Why would Patrick Ricard be a part of the run option?
Because he leads the way. Imagine
that would
you
just
get through.
Be a running play.
I understand that, but you think, oh, he's going to lead block, and then you option out.
Okay.
That's part of your options.
Okay.
Because imagine this scenario, if you will. Patrick Ricard leads the way. Behind that is Derrick Henry, and behind him is Lamar Jackson with the ball.
Oh, it'd be terrifying.
Horrifying.
Yeah. So
no. And if, in all seriousness, a team that's actually done really well is the Commanders. I know you wanted to bring them up.
Commanders have had a great offseason, in my opinion. Comparatively of how bad they've been, signing Austin Eckler was huge. I love it. I love what they've done.
It shows that they're trying, which is something you want to see from your franchise. You don't want to see them go out there and do absolutely nothing, especially at the start of free agency.
I think they deserve a huge shout-out for all the work they've been doing. I think, honestly, the Patriots have had a very satisfying, because I know you went Homer. The Patriots haven't had a splash free agency. They've had a very satisfying free agency. They got rid of all the players we hate. Mac Jones, gone. Devontae Parker, gone. We love it. And we re-signed the players we wanted to re-sign. Waynu, he's back. You get Hunter Henry, he's back. Kedrick Bourne, he's back. Josh Uche, he's back. And Kyle Duggar, he's back. Kyle Duggar was the number one. I'm so glad we franchise tagged him to get me to not be stressed out about that. It's the one player I 100% wanted back. So the Patriots had a satisfying, but in my opinion, the team that I also think is number one up there is the Houston Texans, because, oh my God, they're going to be scary next year.
You could tell that there was a lot of spark in Houston this past year. C.J. Stroud, you get drafted, you show up, and you really put up numbers. And this is your team going out and supporting you as best they can, as fast as they can, to say, hey, kid, show us what you really got. Let's put a team around you, and let's win some ball games.
Now, so they lost Devin Singletary to the Giants, but now they have Joe Mixon, who, if he's any bit of what he was on the Bengals, he can be at least comparable to Devin Singletary. Having Pierce, who was once a really solid running back, I think he's already worn out, but he could be a solid number 2 running back. And Stroud will be now throwing back to Dalton Schultz. He's there. You still have Tank Dell. You still have Nico Collins. They're all still there, so the offense is good. But this is where it gets really interesting. The defense that had the Rookie of the Year, Will Anderson, will now have the addition of Daniil Hunter on the opposite end with him. That's terrifying. The defensive line that was already good just got real good. And then they shored up the linebackers by having Al-Shahir there, who is a dog, a very underrated player, one of the more underrated defenders and one of the better linebackers on free agency.
If you needed somebody to put in, you could put him in there. It's not like you're going out getting the top guy in the whole market, but you're saying, listen, you're good, and we just need a linebacker. And that's not saying anything bad about him. It's just, he's not top of the brass, but he will do some damage.
He's probably the top 3 linebacker in free agency, but he will probably be a middle to top tier linebacker. And if he plays well, he could be a top 10 linebacker.
Also wasn't a great linebacker free agency class.
It wasn't, but I think the only one that was really like the hot commodity was Patrick Queen. But then they shored up their backfield, which was probably one of their weaker spots. They got Mike Ford, Lonnie Johnson, and then the big ones, Desmond King and Jeff Okuda. They got both of them. So now this backfield was really, really broken down. That was the worst part of the team. Just got shored up, and they also added Eric Murray with a ton of safeties still in the market. Of course, Jordan Poyer left, but you still got Micah Hyde who's out there. Lots of safeties. Simmons is still out there. So there's a lot of safety help to help the team. So I think that the Texans had a phenomenal start to free agency, and that team is already looking scary. But that doesn't account as well that I think that there's a lot of teams that had a good one, but the Texans are the one I really want to highlight.
All right, and just, I guess to round this out, some other major signings that we may have glossed over. Russell Wilson has said he's going to be a Steeler. There's been no official contract yet. That is expected at the beginning of the season. Tony Pollard went to Tennessee in a 3-year, $24 million contract, filling up that hole that Derrick Henry left. It's a bit of a, not filling up the whole hole because Derrick Henry is a massive man. We talked about the Commanders. The Bears got DeAndre Swift on a 3-year, $24 million contract.
Yes, DeAndre Swift was a good pickup. I think the Bears also had a pretty solid free agency. They got Jalen Johnson back, and they know what he's going to bring to the table. And if you don't get that, go to our Twitter. They got Kevin Byard from the former Eagle and Titan, and they got Ryan Bates, Jonathan Owens. They had a solid offseason. And it's gonna, but the Bears
There's
season.
so many questions still around it.
Yes,
which is the
but
big
that's
problem.
draft night. You gotta wait a month. You gotta wait a month and a half for that. Draft night's when you start to realize what the Bears are gonna be all about because they have 2 first-round picks and I think 2 top 10 picks. So, but and one more thing I have to say for the worst team, I think it's between 4. It's kind of a tie. The Niners have done nothing. And only lost players because I think Eric Armstead's leaving. Chase Young is not coming back. So they have done really nothing. You got to put the Chiefs out there. They've only re-signed players. They spent all of their money on Chris Jones.
They've also gone back to back.
They'd have, but they spent all their money on Chris Jones. The Cowboys is number 1 in my opinion. They've done nothing, and I mean literally nothing. And then the Jets. Saints can't do anything. Even though they've done nothing, they really can't do anything, so they don't count. But the Jets have also done nothing.
I'm not going to say that the Chiefs have had a bad offseason because they're retaining a majority of their pieces and they just went back-to-back to win the Super Bowl. So them doing nothing here is them saying, we know we can win with the team we have. The Cowboys, are you just seeing what the other teams are doing and saying this is going to be like a stopgap year for us? Like, what's the plan? What do you want to do here? Or you know what this might be? Is this the last year of Dak's contract?
I think so.
Because I remember correctly, his contract is backloaded like crazy. Like all of his money was deferred to the last 2 or 3 years of the contract.
Yeah. So that also could be a huge issue. But when the Dallas Cowboys, you could argue they have the best roster even with all the acquisitions the Eagles have made, because the Eagles still have a really shaky defense. They got Gardner Johnson, and the Giants have no quarterback, and the Commanders also still don't have a quarterback. So you could really look at the Dallas still being the surefire team, unless the Eagles defense figures it out. But the one that also I feel like has a little to no excuse are the Jets, because the Bills have lost so many players. They had to cut half their defense to keep going. Josh Allen has his left tackle. That's like almost all they've re-signed. They lost their safeties. They lost their number one corner. They've lost all these players, and they retained Deion Dawkins. That's about it. The Miami Dolphins have lost so many defenders. They've lost people. Jalen Waddle's in trade talks. Miami's looking a little bit worse. Where's the Jets to sign players to take over this division? The Patriots still need a couple years. I don't know what the Jets are doing as well. So Jets and Cowboys need to get their act together in that regard.
I think the Jets think they want to see what Aaron Rodgers is going to do and possibly pounce at the trade deadline.
True, you think like
because they have a solid defense, right? Their offense, was missing only its quarterback, and you get him back next year. So maybe they're thinking, let's see what we look like for the first couple of weeks and see if Aaron Rodgers can stay alive.
And by the way, they were whining about that they didn't re-sign their edge rusher. I don't get it. They have Will McDonald. They have like 8 edge rushers on that team. They're gonna be fine. I don't know why they're whining. They're not gonna grossly overpay an edge rusher when you have 13 of them on your team. So I don't get. Jets fans relax. So sign an offensive lineman instead of another edge rusher. And I'm not even a Jets fan, but come on. So we're gonna talk a little bit of baseball coming up. All right, let's move over to the MLB, the New York Yankees to be specific. So the injury bug hit the New York Yankees recently. Aaron Judge and Gerrit Cole have been taking a little bit of a step back, as the Aaron Judge, I believe, got a quick day-to-day basis, but he'll be back for opening day, which is a sigh of relief for Yankee fans. But on the other hand, Gerrit Cole is currently getting an MRI for his elbow, and what makes matters worse is the Yankees just submitted a trade offer for the White Sox ace Dylan Cease. Now, that's not like for the worst for Yankees fans per se, but it's worse for the status of Gerrit Cole. So if Gerrit Cole's hurt, and probably he's not going to be the opening day starter for the Yankees, how confident are you in the rotation that currently consists of Rodon, Schmidt, Cortez, and Stroman?
I'm actually pretty confident in this rotation as long as Rodon has a sub 3.7 ERA, because that's a rotation that can get you through a full year. Now, Aaron Judge's injury is like they got an MRI on his abs because they pulled him after 2 at-bats because he was only ever going to have 2 at-bats. The Yankees lie about injuries so much. It's a toxic relationship the Yankees have with their fans when it comes to injuries.
Don't they underplay some and then overplay a lot too?
No. They never overplay an injury. They only underplay them. Like last year when Aaron Judge, broke his toe. That was a day-to-day thing, and then he was gone for 2 weeks, and then it was a day-to-day thing, and then he might have been placed on the 60 IL. We weren't going to know, and it's just always been this way. He just fell a little tight in his abs. They were just over-precautious. He says he's fine. It came back clean. Gerrit Cole, we still don't know. Gerrit Cole's scary because he's your ace. You always need your ace, no matter what ball club you're in.
Former Cy Young winning ace, by the way.
You know it. If he's not
start gloating about the Yankees.
If he's not our opening day starter, I want it to be Nestor Cortez. And I know.
I think you have to.
Yes,
you have to.
Okay, because here are your options, right? You got Clark Schmidt.
No way.
Not happening. Carlos Rodon.
No way.
Marcus Stroman.
No.
Too new to the team.
No way.
Hasn't earned it.
It's got to be Cortez.
Nestor's kind of earned it.
It's got to be Cortez.
Listen, he might not be the best pitcher in that rotation, but if there is a player who's been with the Yankees and shown that if you let him go out there, he can and will put in the work.
He'll get you 5 innings. That's what he does. He gets you 5 innings, 1 to 2 run ball. That's what he does. He gets 5 innings, 1 to 2 run ball, sometimes goes 6.
And you know what? It's against the Astros. Some of their best hitters are lefties. And he has decent numbers against the Astros from what I can recall. Not the best, but it's also the Houston Astros.
And you want to throw Rodon out there in that series too, because you don't want lefty, because you got Jordan and Tucker. So Rodon's going. He's facing Houston.
I think the 1-2-3 start is going to be Nestor, Stroman, Rodon. Then you throw in Clark, and then whoever our 6, 7, 8 pitchers are, who are probably now getting way more reps in the minor leagues than they ever thought they were.
So let's take a look at the situation here. Would you? Let's take a look. Of course, the rotation down in the minors is one way of sorting this out. But let's say they go out and they go get somebody. Would you rather them get Dylan Cease, or would you do a trade? And that could include Spencer Jones, by the way. They're trying to avoid that, but I think in desperate times, I think you're going to have to include Spencer Jones in there. Or do you think you'd go out and just give Blake Snell his money? Do you think you just suck it up and give it to him?
Do not pay Blake Snell. Don't do it.
Why?
Re-sign Juan Soto instead. Save that money if you can. Save that money for a guy who
I thought you wanted us to get Snell. I thought you wanted the Yankees to get Snell.
At first I did, but then I realized, one, we're going to have too many lefties. 3 lefties in a rotation, too many lefties, in my opinion. Unless, sure, you have an ace in one, but two more middling pitchers. When they're good, they're, high upper-class pitchers, but when they're bad, they are bad. And so when you get something like that happening, I think what you need to do, you trade for the guy. You only pay him for the year, and he's gone. You're not re-signing him. And the only issue I'm hearing with Dylan Cease is his inconsistency. But at the same time, he would definitely shore up that rotation like nothing else.
Speaking of inconsistency, the one start that I never forget about him is when every out he had was a strikeout, but if it wasn't a strikeout, there was a home run.
Oh yeah, that was.
Do you remember that? It was we won 8-0 because we destroyed them. But at the end of the day, it was funny because all 15 outs he got were strikeouts.
Yeah, it was Judge and Giancarlo just popping off, and the rest of the lineup did too. But that was a bad one by
But if you
Cease.
didn't get a hit, you struck out.
That's just because he has one of those fastballs that if it's not. That's the funny thing about the fastball. It doesn't matter how fast it is. It really just depends on how it comes out of your hand, which is what a lot of people don't realize about baseball, is that you can have a 91-mile-an-hour fastball, but if it rides up on that batter quick, mostly based off of the spin coming out of the hand, it can look like it's going 120.
Yeah.
Dylan Cease, he has one of those fastballs, the way I see it, personally, is it just rides a line when it's off, right? Most fastballs, they have a little bit of movement. Not a lot, but a little. And his is one of those ones where if he's wrong with it, or even just right, it'll just go straight. You can just see, this is where it left his hand, that is where it's going to be when it reaches a box.
Sure.
And you get a good lineup, they're going to see that every time.
So are you leaning towards just getting someone in the minors then?
I don't want to give up too big for Cease, but, okay, here's where I'm at.
You also
you
could
go
get
for
Montgomery.
Cease. You go for Cease. I don't think Montgomery wants to come back to the Yankees. Again, another lefty pitcher situation.
True, and also he's still bitter about the postseason thing we said.
Probably. And so I think ideally you go after Cease. You see at least what you can try and get for him. If they were asking too high, you just don't do it. And if not, you just pull up the guys, see what you got. Because I think right now the situation with Cole is probably just going to be he's going to miss the first month or something. I don't think he's going to be out long term.
No, I don't think he's going to be gone for a while either. I'm just more like, what do you do? Because if you lose him even for a month, you're looking at a really shaky situation. And I know you trust the rotation, but I don't. I think you need your ace to make this work. And I really think you got to go get somebody, and you can't get Monty. Snell, unless Snell goes down, Snell's got to cut what he wants in half. He wants $250.
Snell needs to sign somewhere.
He just needs to sign somewhere. I think he's got to give up and do a prove it deal.
No.
Just take
a 2-time Cy Young winner does not need a prove it deal.
Dude, take your prove it deal.
He doesn't need it. Don't sign a prove it deal. Get your money. Him and Monty.
But who's going to give it to him? He's received only one team's call, and it's the Yankees. Nobody else has even called.
That's not true. That is not true.
Who else has called?
No, the Yankees leak the most out of any other team. I hope you know this.
True. But who else do you think has called and has even gotten close to getting towards an offer for him?
The Baltimore Orioles.
They have Corbin Burns now.
Yes.
You think they're going to go after Blake Snell?
We have Gerrit Cole, and we went after Blake Snell.
They also
got brand new owners who want to win.
That's true. But we also have a lot more money.
Listen, the two people who should not sign prove-it deals right now are Jordan Montgomery and Blake Snell. One of them is a 2-time Cy Young winner. The other one went out last year and proved to everyone that he is worth it as a 2-3. If you're a really bad team with no pitching, he can be your ace. I just don't know why they haven't signed anyone. Like I think it's owners just messing with Scott Boras. Genuinely.
They're playing hardball.
But the season starts in 2 weeks. People, there's no way there's no one that doesn't want these pitchers. There is no way that no one wants Blake Snell and no one wants Jordan Montgomery.
They're both going to be on a team during the season.
None of them are built up. Neither of them are built up. So you sign either of these guys. Neither of them are going to be built up to start the season for your team. What are you doing? You are only hurting yourselves if you actually want to sign these people.
I think teams are willing to take the 3 weeks to wait for them after they sign them.
Just to see if the price drops?
Yeah.
Like it
has to. Once the season starts, I think you're cutting 30% off the deal.
I think Scott Boras is losing a lot of clients over this next season.
Yeah, he's screwed. Like, no way. So, especially, no one's going to re-sign him for anything. So, but I think the Yankees have got to make a decision at pitching, and I think they have a week to do it. They have to have their decision made a week before the season starts.
I think what they're going to do is, if news came out, they made an offer, they're going to see their counteroffer, they're going to counter the counteroffer, and if they don't like that, they're just not going to do it and just use whatever they have in spring training.
I believe that they should get Dylan Cease, and I believe that they will. It's time for locks and upsets. All right, I'm going to be honest. I did not do last week's
This is a filler episode.
Yeah. We'll tell you what the stats are for all of us next week when the three of us are here.
It's spring break for most of the people we live with, so it's been a weird couple of days. Yeah. But anyway, Liam, you want to go first?
Yeah, at least the three of us are here.
Okay, so Liam says his lock of the week are the Indiana Pacers just winning any game by more than 20 points. That's what he just told me.
Okay, that's not going to be his actual lock, but I think he's just going to be withdrew from this week. But that's Liam's lock, guys. That's Liam's lock.
I had to shoot my shot.
Yeah, no. Mine is I have the Thunder defeating the Grizzlies on Saturday. Shai getting himself a little bit closer to getting that MVP conversation, getting a little closer to taking the lead. Jokic is winning. But, you never know. You never know. All right, Rob, what's yours?
My lock of the week is on me.
Oh, my God.
I'm locking myself up.
Okay. What, are you going to commit a felony?
No. This Friday, MLB The Show 24 comes out. My first Diamond Dynasty game is gonna be a win.
How am I gonna keep track of that?
I'll just show you. I'll tell you.
Okay.
It keeps your record.
You have to send me a picture after your first game of your record.
Yeah.
Okay, deal. All right. And for upset, my upset's also gonna be a little bit creative. My upset is I think the Yankees either get Blake Snell or Dylan Cease before we record next week's episode. That's my upset of the week.
Just for the listeners, that is typically on a Tuesday night.
Tuesday night, yeah.
My upset, I'm picking the Nets over the Pacers on Saturday.
So Saturday, we both have Saturday games. All right, guys. I would like to thank you all for listening. You can follow us on our socials at Dear Hollow Heroes, or you can message us at dearhollowheroes@gmail.com. Let us know what you think, a take you got, anything for us. And I'd also like to thank Liam and Rob, and, well, I'd like to thank Rob. and I'd like to thank Liam. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. We'll see you all next week.
Stay classy, San Diego.
What? You're in Jersey.
San Diego Studios makes Sound Read the Show. That comes out this week.
Man, I might need to trade you like the NFL.